In the dead of night, a team of elite soldiers walked into a trap. Bullets rained from the ridges, mortar tore the ground apart, and death closed in. Hope was gone until a woman who had never fought in battle reached for the heaviest rifle. On the field, what happened next turned despair into legend. The desert was silent, but not in peace. It was the kind of silence that carried weight, like the pause before a storm. The air was dry, sharp, and full of dust that clung to the skin. A line of soldiers crouched low in the sand, their boots pressing into the earth. Each man carried scars of war, written not only on their bodies, but also in their eyes. At the edge of the group moved someone different. Her name was Eva Watson. She wore the same uniform, the same gear, yet she didn't belong. The men around her were fighters, trained to walk into fire and claw their way out. She was not. She worked with codes, radios, maps. Her strength was in her mind, not her hands. She had never stormed a ridge, never fired into the dark with her life on the line. And yet, here she was, walking into the valley with America's sharpest warriors. The valley stretched ahead like a black scar, ridges rising on both sides. High ground, dangerous ground. Everyone knew the enemy owned it, and still, the team moved forward because the mission demanded it. Eva's heart pounded against her ribs. She could hear the scrape of her own breath under the weight of her helmet. She checked her radio again and again, clinging to the small machine as if it could protect her. She wasn't meant to be out here. She was meant to sit in a safe trailer, with air conditioning humming and screens glowing. But fate had pushed her into this. Captain Dawson raised his hand, signaling a halt. The team froze, every eye scanning the cliffs above. Through the green glow of night vision, shadows shifted, rocks, wind, or something worse. Eva crouched behind a boulder, hands trembling on her rifle. She wasn't even sure why she carried it. She had fired only in training, never like this. Then, the silence broke. A shot cracked from the ridge. The sound was sharp and cruel, and one of the men dropped with a cry. In an instant, the valley exploded. Tracers sliced the air. Sparks burst from stone. Bullets winged like insects too close to the ear. The ambush had begun. Snipers both ridges. Someone shouted. Eva flattened herself against the ground, her ears ringing. Her radio hissed with voices, clipped and panicked. Orders shouted over the storm. She forced herself to focus, tuning in to the enemy's chatter. Words in a foreign tongue spilled through. Coordinates, commands, laughter. Her blood ran cold. "They know we're here," she whispered, voice thin. Captain Dawson glanced at her, grim and certain. "Then we take it back. Stay sharp." The soldiers moved like a machine, returning fire, dragging the wounded, throwing smoke to cover their shift. But the ridges spat fire from every angle. It was a trap, perfectly laid. Eva's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the radio. She pressed herself lower, praying the earth would swallow her whole. And then her eyes caught it, the weapon, lying in the dust. A massive rifle, black and heavy, the kind she had seen only once in training. Its owner had fallen, clutching his side, blood dark against the sand. The gun lay silent, waiting. The Barrett, it was the only thing that could turn the fight. And somehow, it was right in front of her. The firefight raged around her. Bullets snapped over the rocks. Mortar thumped, shaking the ground. The night sky lit with streaks of tracer fire, bright against the darkness. Eva lay flat, pressed into the sand, every breath sharp in her lungs. Her eyes kept drifting back to the rifle. The Barrett lay only a few feet away, black and heavy, as if it belonged to another world. It was not a weapon for her. It was a beast, built for men with steady hands and unshakable nerves. She remembered the first time she had touched one during training years ago. One shot had bruised her shoulder so badly that she couldn't lift her arm for a day. Her instructor had laughed kindly and told her she wasn't built for it. "Stick to codes, Watson. But now the rifle's owner was bleeding out, his voice ragged, as he gasped, "Don't let it go." Eva froze. The man's hand gripped her wrist weakly, his eyes burning despite the pain. He was the sniper. He was the one who should have been holding the Barrett, not her. Yet here he was, broken, depending on her. The ridges kept spitting fire. Sparks rained from the rocks above. Another soldier screamed as shrapnel tore into his leg. The team was pinned, trapped. If the nests on the ridge weren't silenced, they would all die in this cursed valley. Eva's pulse hammered in her ears. She reached out, hesitating, then pulled the Barrett toward her. The weapon nearly dragged her down. It was heavier than memory, a monster of steel and recoil. She dropped to her stomach, forcing the bipod legs into the dirt. Her hands trembled as she slid her cheek against the stock. Through the night vision scope, the world narrowed to a circle of green, and there, a muzzle flash, bright, sharp, and aimed directly at her team. She swallowed hard. Her finger brushed the trigger. Every part of her screamed to let go, to stay small, to hide. But the choice was gone. If she didn't act, they were finished. She pulled the trigger. The rifle roared like thunder. The recoil slammed into her shoulder, numbing her arm. Her vision blurred for a moment, then cleared. In the scope, the flash was gone. A figure tumbled lifeless down the ridge. The valley froze for a heartbeat. Then a shout rose from the team. Hit confirmed. Eva gasped, her lungs burning, her heart racing. She had done it. Against every doubt, she had fired the beast and struck true. Captain Dawson's voice cut through the chaos. "Keep it up, Watson. You've got the ridges." Eva forced her trembling hands to steady the scope again. Another flash blinked in the distance. She drew a breath, exhaled slow, and squeezed the trigger once more. The Barrett spoke again. The battlefield listened. Eva lost herself in the rhythm, sight, breath, fire. The rifle bucked with each shot, bruising her body, but the sound of its thunder drowned her fear. Every blast silenced another nest, shattered another machine gun, broke another enemy's hold on the high ground. Her shoulder screamed in pain. Her arms trembled from the weapon's weight. Sweat stung her eyes, but she refused to stop. Around her, the team moved forward, emboldened by the sudden shift. They shouted to each other, voices alive with hope. The tide was changing, and it was because of her. Mortar rounds still crashed into the valley floor. One landed close, showering them with dirt and stone. Eva pressed her face harder to the scope, refusing to look away. She spotted 3 figures sprinting along the ridge. Something long and heavy on their shoulders. RPGs. Her gut clenched. If they reached position, they would fire into the valley and destroy what little cover the team had left. She steadied her breath, tracking the lead figure. The crosshairs danced, then stilled. She squeezed. The round tore through the night. The man collapsed instantly, the launcher clattering away. The others froze in shock. Eva worked the bolt, fired again, and another figure dropped. The third scrambled into the shadows, fleeing. "Good shot, Watson," Dawson shouted. His voice carried strength again, no longer the edge of despair. Eva's focus sharpened. The fear hadn't left, but it had transformed into something cold and steady. She no longer thought of survival for herself. She thought of the men beside her. Every shot meant one less danger for them. Every thunderclap was a shield. She spotted another nest, a heavy machine gun shielded by sandbags. Its barrel spat fire, chewing through rock. Eva's lips pressed tight. She fired. The Barrett's round tore through the barricade as if it were paper. The gunner slumped, lifeless. "Keep pushing," Dawson roared. The team surged forward, firing and leaping cover to cover. Eva stayed low, laying down thunderous cover fire. The rifle was no longer just a weapon. It was her voice, her will, her refusal to let the valley take them. Each recoil jolted her bones, but each shot carved hope out of the chaos. When Keller The wounded sniper stirred beside her, his lips cracked in a faint smile. "Not bad for intel," he rasped. Eva's throat tightened, but she didn't look away from the scope. She couldn't. She was their wall now, and if she faltered, the storm would swallow them all. The battle dragged on, relentless. The valley was smoke and fire, the air thick with the metallic taste of blood and gunpowder. Eva's arms shook violently now, each shot draining what little strength remained. Yet she refused to let go. The enemy began to falter. Their fire grew scattered, their movements rushed. For the first time, they seemed uncertain. The Barrett had broken their rhythm, but Eva knew better. A cornered enemy was the most dangerous of all. Through her scope, she saw him, a man on the far ridge, different from the rest. His gear was darker, his movements sharper, more deliberate. He wasn't firing wildly. He was watching, calculating. A commander-daughter's stomach tightened. If he lived, the ambush would continue. If she took him down, the fight might finally break. She steadied her hands. The distance was extreme. The wind cut across the valley in cruel gusts. It would be the hardest shot of her life. She thought of Keller's words echoing in memory. Long shots are patience, breath, discipline. Eva inhaled, held her breath, and squeezed. The rifle roared. Through the scope, she saw the man stagger, binoculars tumbling from his hands. Then he collapsed, vanishing into the dust. For a moment, the ridge went still. Confusion rippled through the enemy lines. Their fire slackened, their shouts turned frantic. Watson dropped their leader. Someone yelled.